As a dog owner, probably you have heard that you need to be dominating your dog, or you need to be the alpha, or simply you just need to use treats to train your dog.
Grab and treat.
And after all that, your dog still doesn't behave better than before. So now you don't know which advice to follow and which advice to ignore. The reality is that most dog owners are following outdated suggestions, myths, and lies, and make the dog training harder than it can be. So that's why in this video I'm going to be revealing 5 of the myths and lies that are making it hard for you to train your dog, so you can finally have the well-behaved and happy dog that you have been dreaming of. So let's dive into myth number 1, the alpha role. Probably you've heard the phrase that you have to show your dog who's the boss. And you may have to be flipping your dog to the side and dominate your dog and alpha role your dog and pretend to be the alpha. The idea here is that you're supposed to mimic the natural, normal behavior of a wolf and assert dominance to your dog. But the reality is that this is an outdated idea and it doesn't work. This idea is kind of sticking around and is not going away. It was based on one of the research that happened a long time ago, that they brought some captive wolves and selected these captive wolves from different areas of the world and brought them into the artificial environment and let them loose. And these wolves, because they were strangers to each other, they started being aggressive to each other and not really dominating each other, but they were aggressive towards each other because they were strangers. They didn't know each other very well. They didn't grow up together. And the reality is that wolves are naturally very calm, very family oriented. They actually act like a human family. They don't dominate each other. Just pretend if you put several strange humans together, how they're going to feel, how they're going to treat each other. You've seen these in reality shows, how they do it and how they backstab each other and all that. And the same thing happened in this experiment, that they put strange wolves together in a strange environment. So basically, when you mimic that you are an alpha and you are dominating your dog, what you're doing basically is, first of all, you're making your dog to be fearful and anxious from you, because you're physically trying to harm your dog and your dog sees you as you're harming your dog. Second of all, you're destroying the bond and the trust that you're trying hard to build with your dog. And most dogs, because of the situation that they are in, they will try to bite you and attack you, actually get worse, and maybe even sometimes they will basically shut down and really close and be fearful for life. And by the way, the original person who did this research, he admitted that this research was flawed and it didn't work. Here's a clip of him explaining.
You know, I'm very much to blame for the term alpha being used with wolves. I published a book in 1970 that now has over 110,000 copies in circulation, and in that I labeled the top wolf in the pack the alpha. And I did that because at that time that's all that science knew. But we've learned a lot. That book was published in 1970, and in the 35 years since that time, we've learned an awful lot. One of the things we've learned is that the term alpha is really incorrect when applied to most wolf pack leaders.
So what do you do instead? So instead of being an alpha role to your dog, start building a stronger relationship and bond with your dog using play, using praise, using sharing affection, using being logical and kind to your dog, and making sure that you're building and developing a strong bond with your dog. Basically, by building a strong bond with your dog, you can start building the idea of being alpha to your dog, and you can help your dog to see you as its leader. Let's move on to myth number 2. Shock collars work without harming the dog. Many dog owners have been told that you can use shock collar or e-collar to provide a quick fix to your dog's unwanted behaviors by simply zapping your dog a little bit. I have to say that is wrong. It's a quick fix and that's all. It doesn't have a long-lasting result when you use a shock collar. In general, when you use a tool, you're not going to see a long-lasting results. You're going to see a quick fix. You don't want to quickly fix this issue, get rid of it at the moment, because it will come back and it will haunt you again. The reality is that shock collars, they don't teach your dog what to do instead. It teaches your dog to be afraid of you, to be afraid of that situation, to be afraid of that environment that you're putting your dog into. Shock collars, they were invented in 1960s, mainly to use on hunting dogs. And over time, they became a marketing tool for trainers, and the trainers started using these tools, and then they started suggesting regular dog owners to use it. So the reason it works for hunting dogs is because you want to make sure that your dog is off the leash and is hunting, and you have some form of control over this loose dog, and you want to make sure that this loose dog is under control. Even for hunting dogs, I don't suggest you to use them. In the past, hunting dogs were used to hunt prey or animals just simply by building a hunting bond relationship with the hunter. The dog would build a working relationship with the hunter, and the hunter would count on that and would go on a hunt. They didn't need to use tools or gadgets or anything like that. So when you use a shock collar, you're not dealing with the root cause of the problem. And sometimes there could be a problem that it doesn't really need you to use shock collars to deal with it. So when you use shock collars, it causes fear and anxiety in your dog. It ruins the trust between you and your dog, because your dog sees you as the source of the pain, source of the discomfort. It can also make the problems get worse. If your dog was reactive a little bit, now can be even more reactive. And overall, it's just not necessary. You don't need to rely or depend on tools to deal with your dog's behavioral issues. So instead of saying, don't do this, you can literally redirect your dog and say, do this instead. You can use play and praise. Good girl. Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yes. And be literally consistent with your training so you can implement the behavior that you really want from your dog to show you. It's not your dog's problem that your dog is not listening to you. The problem is that you're not able to connect with your dog in a deeper level to get your dog to listen to you, so you don't have to rely or depend on tools or gadgets such as shock collar. Now let's move on to myth number 3. You must be a pack leader. So the pack leader idea also came from the same time and same situation and same studies that was done regarding the alpha role. Dominance and alpha role are very similar, and you're supposed to show your dog that you're the pack leader. And I know probably you will connect this to Cesar Millan. He has popularized this idea of pack leadership. Although I like Cesar Millan, but I don't like this idea of pack leadership. He's kind of stuck to this idea and he can't let it go. Even though I'm sure he knows, and many people know, that this idea is wrong and is not legit. So basically understand that dogs are not wolves. Dogs are domesticated animals. Domesticated animals do not behave the same way as natural wolves will do. Besides, natural wolves, they don't have a pack leader. They have a family member who's on top. Just like humans, families, that we have the parents and then we have the siblings and go down with the ranking. In the wild, in the wolf pack, that's how it is as well. And many researchers have recently basically figured this out, that that's how wolves are. And now this idea of pack leadership, it doesn't really sit well anymore, especially with many dog trainers. including me.
The term alpha isn't really accurate when describing most of the leaders of wolf packs because the term implies that the wolves fought and competed strongly to get to the top of the pack. In actuality, the way they get there is merely by mating with a member of the opposite sex, producing a bunch of offspring, which are the rest of the pack then, and becoming the natural leaders that way, just like with a pair of humans producing a family.
So, first of all, the idea of pack leadership, the study itself, the idea itself is flawed. So, you don't need to even research it. You don't even need to waste your time to figure out and learn about this study and understand that dogs aren't wolves. They are domesticated animals for thousands of years that we have changed their behavior, we have changed their lifestyle, we have changed their social activities, their social behavior. They are not living in the wild anymore. They're living in your home, lying on your bed, they're sitting and watching TV with you. They're not the same animal as wolves. And again, I want to emphasize in this that when you start dominating your dog or being alpha to your dog, you're causing fear and anxiety in your dog. Plus, it is not natural for a human being to be an alpha. I don't like to be alpha to my dog. I can't be an alpha. I'm not an alpha. Many humans, many dog owners are not alpha kind of humans. They don't have a alpha personality. So instead of focusing and wasting time on researching about alpha or domination, start building a trust, clear communication with your dog, start bonding with your dog, and then start using play and praise to reward your dog and make sure that your dog is having fun and is enjoying the relationship that you have with your dog, and your dog is enjoying to be with you and it wants to please you and it will listen to you and it won't bother to harm your feelings or harm you in any ways. Dogs are not here to alpha us. They don't want to dominate us. We are the ones who have created dogs. Humans have bred and designed dogs for humans, not the other way. And let's go to the next myth, that training dogs using treats is the best and the only way. In many ways, dog owners have been brainwashed that the only way that they can start rewarding their dog and train your dog is using treats or food. But the reality is that there are more than food and treats that are more natural and better to reward your dog, such as play and praise. So the idea of treat training came from a research and a study that was done regarding operant conditioning, a psychology term that encourages repetitive behavior to encourage that human or that animal to repeat the behavior. While it's an effective way of approaching learning and training, the problem is when dog owners are relying heavily on treats and food as a reward, it causes the dog and the dog owner to start depending on food or treats to repeat the behavior.
Just feels like if there's no reward, why should I be on good behavior at all?
That's a good question.
No, yeah.
Hey, we have this idea for you.
I'd like another treat.
Man, I don't know if we have more treats for you.
Seriously,
okay,
dude.
Fine. Well, in that case, I guess I'll just be on bad behavior.
Are you kidding me, Mr. Robot?
Come on.
Just like when you use shock collars, you're starting to develop reliance and also dependency on a tool or a gadget. The problem is when you rely on food or treats to get the results that you want, first of all, your dog listens, yes, but only when you present treats or food. And believe it or not all dogs are food motivated. I would say 90% of dogs are not food motivated. It's the human who forces or makes the dog to become food motivated. Then the problem starts becoming a domino effect. Understand also that when you use treats or food, you're not really building a deep connection or relationship with your dog, because your dog sees you as provider of the food. And food is something that is very important to animals. Any animal has to eat in order to survive. So when you're tapping into a part of the human or the dog that it's related to survival, then what it does, it makes your dog to see you as food provider, not as the caretaker. There's a difference. Because dogs are dependent on us for everything, including food, if we use food as not only providing food for them to survive, but also food for training and food for this and food for that, then your dog is going to see you only as the food provider, not as the caretaker. The caretaker or the family member role is the one that you want to target, not the alpha role or be dominant to your dog. You want to share food with your dog. You want to share love with your dog. You want to share a lot of good stuff with your dog, and you want to share that without having any limitations. When you depend heavily on food and treat, it just ruins the relationship, and your dog cannot see you as its leader because it sees you as food provider. So instead of relying on food or treats to reward your dog, just rely on play and praise. Play and praise are very natural ways of rewarding a dog. A human, a dog are born with the idea that I want to have fun. Every baby, every kid, all it does is just play, play, play. I remember when I was a kid, all I wanted to do was play. I wanted to run around and play, and that was the most fun part of life. I had nothing to worry about. I didn't think about anything. All I wanted to do was to play with my friends, play with toys, play games, play soccer. All I wanted to do was play, 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 have fun, and be praised also. I loved when my parents, my teacher, my family members, they were praising me. Oh, he's such a good boy. Oh, he's such a cute boy. Or he's such a good boy that he does this. Oh, this is great, you made this. All these praise and also the play were making me to become a happy person. And the same thing you can apply to your dog. If you keep your dog in a fun mode, play mode, positive mode, and keep praising your dog for good behavior, keep playing with your dog to develop a good trusting relationship, fun relationship that your dog sees you as the instigator of fun rather than instigator of or provider of food, magic will happen. And the next myth is that a tired dog is a good dog. Probably you've heard this before, but I'm telling you, it's not true. A tired dog is just a tired dog. A tired dog is a dog who's physically can't move anymore. And many dog trainers and many dog experts, actually, they will tell you that you need to tire out your dog in order to behave better. The problem is that, again, most dog trainers, they skip few things, and many dog owners, they just focus on treats and exercising their dog to the point that the dog has physically no more energy to move. The problem is that you're targeting one part of your dog's basic needs, which is the physical stimulation. Dogs need physical stimulation, yes, but they need more mental stimulation than physical stimulation. Physical stimulation is good for the heart, for the body to build muscle and be healthy, but mental stimulation is the part that a dog really needs the most. Many dog owners focus 90% on physical stimulation and 10% maybe on mental stimulation. You have to reverse that and probably focus on 30% on physical stimulation and 70% on mental stimulation. What I mean by mental stimulation is that you need to start developing a way that you can stimulate your dog mentally, that it charges them and also stimulates them to the way that is more natural to your own dog, to your own dog, to your own breed of dog, to your own type of dog as well. So what I mean by that, if you have a working breed kind of dog, and yet your dog is not, let's say you have a border collie but is not interested in herding, you have to figure out a way to stimulate this dog without causing stress by forcing it to be herding things. So instead you have to replace it with another type of activity that stimulates it, whatever it is. You have to figure out what rover, for example, wants or likes and needs to be stimulated with. So for example, my dog, Annie, she likes to be stimulated by ball game, chasing, fetching, playing. These are the activities that she prefers the most. And then comes the walking, sniffing, exploring. She'd rather do the top part than the lower part. So I focus on providing mostly the top part and some of the lower part levels of activities that she needs. So you have to get to know your dog, your own dog's breed. Just because your dog, for example, is a beagle, it doesn't mean that it's going to sniff all the time. Everybody thought beagles are food motivated. I had a beagle who was not food motivated. And I even remember Annie, when I got her, she was not food motivated. I made her to become food motivated. In a way, not that I'm saying she's food motivated, but she's giving a lot of importance to food now because I made her to become like that, because I included her in some of the activities that involved food. So I asked her to join those activities, and that's why she became foodie now. Not that she likes to be rewarded with food, but she likes to be rewarded by play and praise. But I'm not using food to reward her for anything. I'm just saying that you can make your dog to become foodie by just exposing your dog to activities that can cause them to give importance to food. So a good dog is not a dog who's physically tired. A good dog is a dog who's somewhat tired from physical activity and mostly tired by mental activities. So training, playing with your dog, exposing your dog to different challenges every day, taking them to different places to get socialization, which is another form of stimulation, can cause your dog to have mental stimulation as well. So basically you want to provide your dog's daily 5 essential needs, which are exercise, training, socialization, care, and affection. All of these are some form of stimulation for your dog, which will help them to become more stimulated and live a healthier and better life. And that's how you tire out your dog, by stimulating them exactly the way that they need to be. So do you want to train your dog without relying on these myths and lies, without the use of treats or force or aversive tools and methods? I have trained thousands of dogs using my method, and they are enjoying life with their owners, and also their owners are having fun with their dogs. And if you want to be one of them, I invite you to join my program. I'm gonna leave a link that you can learn more about my program in the description below. And until next time, have fun with your dog.